What's good, everybody? For those of you guys who are new to my channel, my name is Sidney Baker Green. I'm an international cinematographer and colorist, and if you guys have been following along on my isolation vlogs, you guys know that I rented the Canon EOS R for 2 weeks. Now, this camera's image sensor is not as sensitive to light as the camera that I normally use in my set, which in turn has caused me to have to redesign my entire lighting design in my studio. That made me think that it would be a really cool video to teach you guys how exactly I light my set, as these principles follow into any set design you guys will encounter. That way, when you guys are at home alone creating in these times we're dealing with, you guys can really lean into your environment and create the best images possible. So without further ado, let's turn off the lights and get started. So the first light you're going to encounter in any lighting setup is probably going to be your key light. This is your main light position 45 degrees in relation to the camera, and it's really at an angle to your subject, which gives you a nice dramatic shadow on this side of your face, while the rest of my face is completely well lit, as well as my eyes. Now, any product that I mention is going to be featured in the description down below so that you can access them quickly. But in this case, for my key light, I am using the Aperture 120D Mark II. As you guys can see, I turned on the light with this little remote, and it allows me to change the intensity of the light on the fly, which really comes in handy if I'm working with an open window that's right next to me. As the lighting situation changes, I can adjust accordingly inside without having to move, get up, or do anything of the sort. If you guys would like an in-depth review on this light, I will link a video up here, which is my full review on the light, what I think about it, as well as all of its features. But it is a very versatile light. I've used it in creating a lot of videos, able to mimic fireworks, lightning, so on and so forth. Just a really fun product to work with all around, and it's a very awesome tool in my arsenal. Now, outside of your key light, which is going to be your main light, you're going to want to fill in the shadow unless it's the look you're going for. Now, me, I like a really dramatic look, and I really like my face to be defined. So I don't opt for a fill light, which would go, again, on the opposite 45-degree angle in relation to the subject, but I am going to opt for a rim light. What this is going to do is it's really going to allow me to separate myself from the background. When you turn on a rim light, again, it's going to be directly across from your key light, or 45 degrees on my backside, 90 degrees in relation to the camera. And when you turn that on, it's gonna look a little something like this. Now you can see, now I have some light filling in this shadow, but I still have that nice defined line on my face, which adds a little bit more definition to my face, but this also serves as a great hair light and as a way to separate me from the background. These are your basic lighting setups with respect to any set design. So if you're just creating content on YouTube, or if you're an indie filmmaker just getting into it, these are the two lights that you're most likely going to want to get. This is a Pro Master light in the back. It's an LED panel, simple setup. It allows me to move from, I believe, 5,600 Kelvin all the way to a nice warm 3,000 Kelvin, which if I want to add in some color contrast here, I definitely could, but for the purpose of this, I like to keep them both at a daylight setting. So now that we have the foundations of our lighting setup done, we need to add a little bit of light to our background. These lights are called practical lights. A practical light would be something like a lamp in your living room, for example, or it could be an overhead light that is on in a kitchen, if that is what you're going for. Lamps in a bar, in a dining room setting, or even a candle that's on the table in a romantic restaurant setting as well. So in this case, my practical lights are going to be lights on my desk, my monitor, and some lights on the shelf. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the lights on our desk. It's going to take our look from this to something like this. And now we have the ability to have this color contrast because I like to use Philip Hue lights. Using Philip Hue lights really allows me to look at a color palette and create a color scheme on my set that's really gonna work. So now we can see here, we've added in some blues, we've added in some oranges, so we're going to wanna stay in that range. We can play around with teals and we can play around with reds because when we look at a color wheel, those are going to be in the same area that are complementary to the color scheme. And we already have my orange skin, so we know that's working. Again, we're gonna wanna turn on our monitor, so let's go ahead and do that. And now that the monitor's on, the space looks well, alive, which is the point of our set design. We don't want it to seem like we're just lighting a set for the purpose of making a video. We want to add the character to that set that really defines and overall creates that mood, which is why sometimes practical lights are just a nice orange reading light next to a subject on the couch, because it sets that overall mood with, for example, maybe a TV light. The next practical lights that we're going to add are going to be on my shelves back there that house my camera gear and my camera bags. I use some nice little Neewear light panels that I found on Amazon, and then I took the 120D color cloths that can go over the original Bowens mount that it came with, and I like to add some color contrast there as well. So the colors we're going to be working with, again, we're in that orange and blue kind of spectrum. We have the blue, we have the orange back there, have my orange skin, so let's add some orange and a red, because again, those are the only colors I had, but it stays within that color palette. That takes our set design from this to this. It really highlights that area back there. You can kind of see the camera gear back there as well. And again, we're adding in and adding to that nice color scheme we're creating here, which is of a warm and a cool color tone, or a complementary color scheme. Now this set is pretty much done, and you can leave it here. The one thing I did not like is, you guessed it, in that corner back there, it is a little dark. So what I decided to do is I simply went to Best Buy and I got a nice little insignia light strip. It doesn't have to be expensive. And I know some of the things and complaints about using Philips Hue and certain light strips is that they have a flicker. But if you're shooting at 24 frames per second and a shutter speed that's 180 degrees, or in this case 1/50, you will not get any flicker from Philips Hue or this insignia light strip. So this light strip is kind of placed out of sight on one of the pipes, and when we turn it on, it takes our set design from this to this. Now you can see, again, we're adding in another color that's in that same cool spectrum, another shade of blue. This is more of a, I wouldn't call it a teal, it's more of a turquoise to me, but call it teal, call it what you want. Blue is blue in this case. So now we can see the main reason why I choose to use LEDs in this case. One, because I'm a techie. I love technology and LED lights are just super cool. But what it allows me to do is it allows me to create an in-camera color scheme without having to do much color grading in post-production. Now the nice part about these LED lights is that they can all just go to daylight if I want them to, and I can just add lights in those areas so that the scene, again, is lit. But we're noticing a lot of professional LEDs being used in a lot of movies, such as The Joker, where they did oftentimes a lot of in-camera teal and orange in certain scenes. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications if you have not. Be sure to follow me on my social media. The links are in the description down below, as well as the YouTube fam. Their links are also in the description down below. If you guys are ever feeling uninspired, uncreative, or just want to give up on life, every day, airplanes take off against the wind. Live, love, laugh, stay inspired, and guys, as always, stay fabulous. My name is Sidney, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.